Welcome, F5 community. I'm Aubrey with Dev Central, and you're watching Dev Central Connects, our weekly flagship show here at Dev Central. And before we even get started, I want to remind you, don't forget to click like, subscribe, so you get all the latest news from the F5 community and all of our pop-up shows and things like that. Also, of course, really quick at the beginning, wanted to remind everybody that Nginx Sprint is coming up. So, be aware of that, and if you're really into the DevOps community, I think that's one that's really not to miss. And of course, we want to also talk about our Dev Central Connects group. So if you're on the Dev Central Connects website, or the community website, community.f5.com, go check out our groups and see what is there. Now, we've got a bit of a special show for you today. We ended up going last week to Black Hat, Boo, Peter, and myself. So we've got quite a bit of news today. We're used to quite a bit more in terms of feature articles, but today I think we've got quite a bit of news to cover. So I think with that in mind, I do want to bring on my co-host for the day, Mr. Jason Rahm. How you doing, buddy?
I am quite well. A little tired, but good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, tell me about it. It's been some sleepless nights here. So, long travel. How was your weekend?
Weekend is always a nice break away. Sent two of my kids off to camp for the next 2 weeks, the teenagers. So, house is a little quieter, a little bit more respectful. So, the 4-year-old doesn't give us too much, but yeah, it's been a little bit quiet, a little bit slower pace. It's been nice.
Yeah, I have to say that I am a big fan of summer camp, as it were. It's a great way to just kind of make the house quiet down a tiny bit. For me, I have to just keep that door closed, and it all stays out there.
Yeah. There's a lot less show tunes in the house these last couple of days. The teenagers, they love to sing, and they have like all the Broadway show music, and so it's nary a quiet moment when they are here. So it's a little refreshing.
My oldest is also into show tunes, so you get that teenagers shower, show tune blare.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar.
Oh yeah. So I miss them. I don't want to say like, oh, I'm so glad the kids are gone. I miss them, but there are benefits, right?
there are, and it's almost back to school time too. So at least my day up until 4:00 will be very quiet in the next couple weeks. So did they start down by you? You're a little further south than I am.
I think all the schools are already back in actually here. But my kids just graduated in May, so
that's awesome.
Done with that.
Yeah, it's good to have graduation. I think about that. I've got one coming up soon. Not soon enough.
For her or for you?
Yes, I'm sure. You get to that point, teenagers, right? You just sort of get a little bit of a need of a buffer or something like that, I guess.
That's right. Yeah, it's that the whole concept of spoiling the nest that the teenagers do before leaving, so that it's easier for them to walk away and it's easier for us to let them.
Yeah, and we're starting to do some of those like nice, we'll give you some greater responsibilities and things like that, which is nice to see your kids rise to the occasion, I guess.
That's for sure.
But and they're, frankly, I'm sure they're happy when I get to go away too. So they had like a nice week without dad last week, which was kind of nice, no griping, telling them what to do. And instead I was running around and editing video for lunch, in lieu of lunch, I should say, Yeah,
it seems like you guys ate, slept, and breathed video editing last week.
Yeah, we did. It was that was something else. There was so much excitement going on the floor. It was great. I really wish that we had a chance to get to some of the sessions that were there, but at a bare minimum, I was super happy getting to talk to a couple of our partners and catch up on the status of some of those things, like Venafi, for instance. That's one that I ended up talking to for a while. And when I was an SE, I had lots of customers that used the conjoined Venafi solution, for instance. And it was cool for me to get an understanding that we do have Venafi solutions, not just for Big IP, but also for Nginx Plus. And as I understand it, forthcoming for the distributed cloud, although maybe not announced. So I hope nobody slaps my wrist for that one. But if you're a user of F5 products, you have to assume that there will be a Venafi solution for that coming up soon. That's such a popular one.
Yeah, for sure.
But and there were a slew of other neat announcements. But I have to say, really also thank you so much to Peter, not just for helping coach me in my first event, but also because he did actually swing out and grab us lunch the first day. So Boo and I were starving, and we're sitting there like, oh, I can't think. So Peter did the pizza run, which was fantastic.
Yeah, and one-armed Peter at that. So yeah.
Good
on you, Peter.
Yeah, that was amazing, truly amazing. To actually go injured to a show and just kill it like there was no injury.
Yeah,
the guy was unfazed.
Peter may be one of those that it's like has very high pain tolerance. I'm a big baby. I get like a little cut on the end of my thumb, and I'm like done for the day. It's like curl up in the fetal position, cry like a little child. So,
yeah,
my pain tolerance is very, very low.
I broke a nail one day and we had to cancel an interview. No, I jest. I think for me though, I think if I'm reading Peter correctly, it's more of a show must go on, kind of break a leg sort of thing, from his pedigree.
There you go.
That's my guess. But the interesting thing was that there were a slew of announcements last week, so that was for me the excitement. And I have to say, really, my take on the week was an interesting one. The hottest topic for us, Jason, was API security, and it was interesting to me to see all these people, all these different companies out there going, yes, we're a leader in API security. We're a leader in API security. Our company's been around for 2 years, but we're a leader in API security. And to me, one of the things that kind of came up to me was a date. And I'm going to thank, James Quimby for helping me find that date, which it looks like is out of my banners now, unfortunately. But yeah, 2007, September 28th, actually, was the date that we released TMOS 942. That was also the date that we introduced an XML firewall to the world. And that XML firewall, for anyone who who's been not following our history in WAAP, as it were, as Gartner calls it, that brings us 15 years of API security. So for me, the thing that kept going off in my head is, wow, we've been uploading custom WSDLs since then, covering SOAP, covering REST as soon as it really got big. For me, I look at our API defense products as being really strong in this space at a time when the world clearly needs and wants API security. So, I definitely wanted to kind of get that out there on our security focused show. To me, we are a force for API security, I guess. You heard it here first. Hashtag a force for.
Yeah, a force for APIs. Like we've been handling application delivery for a long time. Doesn't matter what that application is. And certainly APIs, and Boo mentioned there, doing API security before it was cool. Doing APIs before they were cool. And
that's right.
And so yeah, we've been here a long time. Been doing that game, so it's not a surprise to see other companies wanting to jump on that and claim leadership and all that. That get it. It's a marketing world, right?
It is.
And you are a fisherman, right? And bright shiny objects, right? That's what the fish bite. So
that's right. That is right. You don't throw like typically a black lure in dark water and expect it's going to catch anything.
Yeah, I know we have to get to some important stuff, but I got to tell a really quick story. I went trout fishing with my father-in-law years ago. It was in October. So, October typically if trout fishing is when they spawn, right? And so they're less interested in eating and more interested in some other things. And and so anyway, we were fishing and there was this little eddy in the stream, and so there was just a little bit of rotation in the water. And my father-in-law saw, it's like just looking down, he saw two trout in the water, and they're just kind of circling, and the male's like trying to get the interest of the female, and so they're circling in this pool, and he cast like probably 13 times right in the middle of them, and it's like finally he's like just kind of walks away. It's like, I'll give it a shot. And like I had a spoon on mine, he had a fly and a little spinner, and I had a spoon, and I just like casted right past it, pulled in the first time, and that the big male right behind, he's like following the girl, sees my spoon, is like hits it, and I yank him in, and my father-in-law hears me, and he turns around, and he just dejected, walking away as I'm reeling in his fish. It was awesome.
But it's funny, and I know we got to get to more. My wife got one like that in front of me as well. But the real killer was she wouldn't let me eat it. Like she said, I got to put it back. I can't kill it. It's too beautiful.
No, here, let me have it. I'll kill it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to see any of that. But yeah. I guess I digress. We do have quite a bit of news to get to this week, as I mentioned. So I think I'll probably pull up the first one, which is, I guess, relevant. We're talking about Black Hat, and for anyone who's really interested in some of the announcements, Security Week did an absolutely fantastic short on some of these announcements that were there. So if you want to kind of cut through and really get to the announcements that you think might be pertinent for your organization, we will definitely have a link to this Security Week article out on the main video here, and of course also at community.f5.com. So yeah, definitely check it out. We have quite a bit on there. Now, the one, of course, for me that we will dig into just a tick in a little bit is OpSWAT, and we did a partner video on those guys there while we were there as well. There's something to be said about their solutions. We've been partners for a long time, and yeah, that's definitely one to check out. But if you're looking at all the other API heavyweights out there, they're all listed quite nicely here on this article. So
OpSWAT's been one of those easy buttons for our customers for a long time.
Yeah, it's funny how I ended up getting this too. I was looking, just doing a quick Google search on, hey, where did I see that OpSWAT article? And this thing came up, and I went, oh, this is a fantastic article to share as well, although short. So I guess with that in mind, you ended up having some interesting finds here as well. iOS privacy. What can you tell me about this guy here?
I did, yeah. Real quick, I wanted to give a shout out to Nico. Hello, thanks for joining us. It's interesting sometimes in the platform that we use, which is StreamYard. Sometimes the replies to comments will show up in my thread before the actual comments do. So your comment, Nico, just popped into my thread here because I saw, imagine Peter's response to you saying hello, and I was like, well, that's interesting because I don't see where Nico even said hello. So now I do. So hello, Nico. Welcome to the show. And yeah, to your query about iOS privacy, this is a little struggle between Apple trying to do right by their customers and providing privacy. So like if you use Chrome or Firefox or anything, they actually do a fair amount to protect your privacy. But this is a frustrating thing as a parent when you have all these apps that may have a browser built into the app. So whereas I don't mind my children once they hit junior high to have a phone to be able to text us and call us and have some apps. I just, as a parent, I don't let them have internet access. I don't let them have social media on their phones. And so a lot of these app builders are then putting browsers in their apps, and then those browsers, and you can read this article, at least for Facebook and Instagram, they're injecting JavaScript that allows them to collect, kind of everything. And so whatever they care about, which, if you've seen any documentaries on some of the social media companies, they care about everything because they want to track your everything. They have the ability if you use their in-app browsers. And so if you don't like that and you don't want to give away every little part of your privacy to the companies that choose to do that, take the links from their apps and copy them, and then actually go out of the app and use your browser of choice on your mobile device, and then that way they're not tracking you that deeply within the app experience. It's a little bit of pain, but security, privacy, all that's never convenient. But if you care about it, that would be my recommendation.
Yeah, wow. This is pretty interesting. Taking a look at these, here's exactly what JavaScript events come up. In which apps. It's really, really nice in depth.
It is an in-depth breakdown of what they're doing. And the author of the article is like, look, I'm not telling you what Facebook's collecting. I'm not telling you what Instagram is acting on. I'm just telling you the ability for them to do those things is there.
Nice. Well, that can be scary with, all the things that are out there, but, it's good to have people that are out there actually reporting these things and helping some of us parents out there,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess
on my frustration part as a parent, the thing is, like, anything that has a browser built in ends up being like I think it's a 17 plus version of the app. So like if you're blocking apps based on age, there may be some components of a browser that they don't really do much of anything. So you want to enable the app, but you don't want to carte blanche open up 17 plus apps for your kids. But for that one app that you really need them to have, like maybe it's a password manager or something, that you can't because of that issue. So I wish that wasn't a function at all, that apps weren't allowed to have browsers built in. So you heard it from me, Apple, take that away.
Yeah, it's funny there. You mentioned password managers. That was another thing that I happened to see on the floor a bit on Black Hat as well, which I like. It's nice. I think that for me, using a password manager is great, just because you end up most of the time I don't know my password, so no idea. Have to have some other biometrics to get it.
Right.
Okay, so I guess moving on real quick. We one of the things that I wanted to bring up here, and again, this one is also very, very fast. Right here is this is a simple document for the distributed cloud, and if anyone's not used the distributed cloud yet, definitely do so. It's an amazing piece of technology out there. A little bit different from Big IP and Nginx Plus. But this is something that has been asked for quite a bit, and this is just what the attack signatures are, listed all in a row. People have looked at the way that the distributed cloud did this when we first purchased it as Volterra, was they put things together in groups, and so they assumed that we would know what is in the various groups for the web app firewall capabilities. That's not necessarily the case. So one of the things that F5 did, being as we've already mentioned, a very kind of tenured, I guess, WAAP vendor, we wanted to see that as quickly as possible. Hey, what are these signatures that you're defending in each of these? And let's just get a unified list out there that's searchable. Also, if you don't know, the distributed cloud documents are living, so they are out there. They're updated in real time, and so that is kind of a nice thing to know. Just like the application itself, if we need a patch in documentation, we will patch the documentation as well. So yeah, that one is out there. If you are a distributed cloud user, or if you're considering it, definitely take a look at the signatures. To me, that's great news. So again, kind of moving on. This one was a fun one, right? So this one was on Stability AI. right?
Yeah. So the gist of this one, and I know we want to cover a few more here, so I won't spend too much time in it. But DAL-E 2 is a really uh, you know really powerful AI system for text to image, and allows you to do things like make you know Tom Cruise say something that he didn't say, or a celebrity and political figures and all that. You could do that, right, with the DALL-E 2 system. They set a line and said, look, if you're a celebrity or political figure, or somebody of power, or whatever, then that was off limits. They weren't going to allow that to happen. Stability AI, or takes those ethical dilemmas and throws them out the window. So if you have the ability to deep fake now anybody, and so that's a challenge on many fronts, because a lot of people just here in America anyway, I won't say the whole world, but in America it tends to be, I watch CNN or I watch Fox News, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you are on, but if you get a clip of something from your echo chamber, then you're going to believe it because that's where it came from. And very few people do the due diligence to the cui bono, who benefits.
Yep.
They don't take the time to evaluate, okay, is this real? What's the source? What's the context? Were source links for when that was said, and what speech was that provided?
Right.
And so, because the mass of America does not do that, it has potentially really grave consequences, because you're going to start seeing things like this on the news, in media, social media, print media, whatever, and you're going to see things that are not true. Not that we don't already see that, and we're struggling with that. I mean, there's tremendous disinformation, tremendous misinformation, tremendous distrust in our governments and our media and all that. This is going to make that 10 times worse, and so I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. In fact, one of the best security articles I've seen in a long time was talking about news and saying, look, please understand, if you're getting news off the web somewhere for free, Facebook, or social, CNN, Fox, like you said, it doesn't really matter which one. You need to understand that you're just generating ad revenue. That's really what it is. It's just generation of ad revenue. But if you pay for your news, most of the time, what they're finding is, is that with paid news sources, they're doing things like exposing sources always in every single article, and you pay for that trust factor. That things are actually fact checked, and that it's just not a bunch of misinformation. So I made that switch right after. I think right after reading that article, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. And I'll tell you, it's been actually paying for my news. I'm less aggravated on the day to day. There's not so much, I guess, wow factor in paid for news. It's like, here's what happened. We're not trying to generate some sort of emotional response from you.
Right.
We're trying to deliver what happened. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, neat. And I wish more media was that way, but you're right. It's all, cui bono, who benefits, right? You're bringing it back to, why is this being published? And most of it is salacious because that's what people want, and they make money off of it.
Agreed. I'm actually gonna skip forward a little bit because I want to be sensitive of our community's time, of course. So I am gonna kind of take this out here. Labs had some interesting announcements this week, and then we'll kind of run into our feature video. But one of these awesome announcements from Labs is the first release of their sensor intel. So our pals over at F5 Labs went ahead and actually put some sensors out on the internet to try and make sure that we took samples of data from certain routing points throughout the backbone of the internet to gain an understanding of what are the active attacks out there, what is the hottest stuff out there as far as explicitly for CVEs, right? So I think we're all familiar with CVEs. some of the easiest to attack stuff out there because it's published. It's there for you to know and for us to all to learn from. So this was a 6-month chunk. And for anyone who is real interested in what the active attacks are that are coming to their data center, they are listed by CVE. So some of these ones are pretty old, actually. We've got, the very top one is an older PHP unit, and it still is taking up 40%. I found that to be amazing. An old PHP unit CVE, taking up 40% of the attack traffic that we ended up seeing on these sensors. So I'd encourage anyone who is interested in actually the safety of their data centers to to go check out this particular lab's article. And also the other thing that they announced was another, well, I shouldn't say a newer malware, but exposed some of the exfiltrated data from a malware that was discovered not too long ago. So always cool stuff coming out from F5 Labs. So I guess with that, I think we are going to probably pop right into a video almost.
The F5 Dev Central YouTube channel is your personal lens into F5's community. Check out our Lightboard lessons, technical how-to videos, real attack stories, 90 seconds of security, and join us live every week, Tuesday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific for the Dev Central Connect show. Try it. You'll like it.
Everyone, this is Boo, Community Evangelist with the Dev Central team, and I'm joined by Nik today. Nik is from our Distributed Cloud Technical Marketing team, and we're going to go over a new demo that they just released. Nik, what are we going to look at today?
All right, so first of all, it's a GitHub guide, and this is the guide that we had built because we do a lot of demos in our team. So for a demo, we typically need a sample application and then some guide as to how to set it up, how to get it running. And in this case, we really focused on the web API and app protection, which is WAAP. So XC WAAP is a scenario that you can run through with this demo guide, and it provides you with everything that you need to get started. So it's the simplest, fastest path to get going with a demo on XC.
Oh, that's awesome. Nik's actually been with me before on a recording a few months back now, and we got a lot of good positive results from that. Just people being able to spin up demos really quickly so that you can kind of get stuff in your hands, right? Like,
yeah, one of the big problems is that you sometimes get a new account, right, on any platform. You log in and then you're like, okay, well, I need to follow something, some kind of a guide to get started. Yeah. This is just the easiest on-ramp to get going very quickly. You get a sample application. You get a guide as to how to deploy it. It has essentially you spin up an app in distributed cloud virtual Kubernetes. So it's a Kubernetes app. Nice. And it's a little app. It has a little bit of an API and a little bit of front end that does star ratings. So think about your e-commerce scenario when people do comments and do ratings. And the reason why we picked that is because a lot of times you have automation like bots doing ratings for you and spamming comments, and sometimes people try to attack the system with different scripts. And this is a really good scenario just to get going very quickly.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's see what we got.
All right, so first of all, I'm going to show the GitHub repository, and as you can see, it has a table of contents within which we understand what is the objective, what's the scenario. And as I said, we just run through several use cases. The first one is setting up the web application firewall for this app, which we test. So you definitely want to be able to very quickly stand up a protection for your app, but apps typically have APIs these days. So we also have API protection as another use case. Then to configure granular options for your policies, we have a service policy mechanism that we showcase through load balancer configuration in this case. And finally, we're showcasing bot mitigation, which, as I mentioned, is one of the use cases, and also DDoS protection. And in fact, it's very easy to kind of sometimes get confused by the various different options within any platform, but in this case, we're laying out these two very straightforward paths. One is manually go through a configuration step by step using the distributed cloud console. And the other path is an interesting one, because for those that are doing a lot of demos like ourselves, we sometimes just want to run a script. So we actually include an Ansible script with some modules that we built in order to automate both the deployment of the infrastructure and the app, as well as the use cases that we use to run through in this scenario.
Yeah, so potentially someone could take the Ansible scripts, at least for the running the use cases, and they could do some modifications to actually run them in production?
That's right. Well, in theory, we're saying that this is what we're doing right now as an incubation of Ansible modules. Folks can absolutely get in and take the modules that we've created and leverage the modules, because essentially they're making API calls to the distributed cloud platform, and modify some of the scripts for their own needs. But in this case, we deploy the application using Ansible, the manifest that specifies the playbook for what needs to be done. And this manifest has several sections. So the first section is installing the infrastructure, and then subsequent sections could be commented out. If you just want to run and deploy something, you can then just see what you've done and then uncomment certain things and rerun to go through the different use cases, including things like sending attacks or configuring different protection.
Cool, awesome.
So as you can see further down, we talk about this architecture scenario, which is the app itself, as I described. We have also...
All right. Well, you can see more from that interview in the full length, which we are releasing on YouTube today. So if you want to see a little bit more about Nik, or to understand, maybe why you would want to have a demo, and really to kind of give you the short of that, whether you are an F5 partner and you want to give that to a customer, or whether you are an F5 consumer and you want to show your boss what this cool new technology does, best to get yourself a demo to work so that it can get up quick, and you can kind of show the speed, not just of the technology, but also of your own technical acumen, of course. So I guess that's kind of it for today, Jason. It's been a packed show from a news perspective, for sure.
It was, there's never a lack of things to talk about. It's more of, what are the pertinent things that we want to bring to the community. I had another one that I'll save for next week, because it's around documentation and how to do it well, and so I'll save that for next week. But,
good. I like that article too.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, then I guess with that, we will probably wrap for the day. Of course, I'm Aubrey, and you're watching Dev Central Connects. I want to urge you to click like and subscribe so you get all the latest news from and for the F5 community. So thank you again, and have a great F5 day.
Well, thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the Dev Central Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.